Welcome back. Clocks on the stove. We had a banger of a UFC card last night, two nights ago, excuse me. Um, Last UFC card of 2023, and it lived up to the hype. Some would say, some wouldn't say. I don't know. Let's see where your sum lays. Episode 115. Myself, usual host, Grayson Fisher, with me, the one and only Zachariah Watts.
You're
Morning. Let's dive on into this thing, Zach. The opening prelim fight, not our early prelims, but the opening prelim. Actually, I think it's the second prelim. Cody Garbrandt fights Brian Kelleher and gets a pretty pretty nice vicious knockout in the first round in the opening round. And then in pretty humble Cody fashion, goes on to give credit and respect to Kelleher, saying I've been in his shoes. I know what it's like to be on a losing streak and trying to get back in it. I hope nothing but the best for the guy. It's definitely see that this journey in his weird career for Garbrandt is definitely, playing a factor in making him a better person now. Not that he was a bad guy. It's just, he realizes he's not immortal. But he called out Devison Figueiredo, and I like that fight a lot.
Yeah. I mean, do I like I mean, Cody has a chance. Like I give him a chance in any fight. I just don't know what Cody is gonna bring to the table any given night. He's looked great as of late. I think this fight was really good for him. He's towards the later end of his career, so if anything, he probably wants to make one more push towards the title shot. So with that win, I think the best way to do that is to build momentum. And who other than to beat a top guy like Davison Figueiredo in another division, but he's still trying to confirm his place as he moves up because Figueiredo hasn't had a fight yet at
I
135. I
don't
don't
think
think.
so. Yeah, he backed out.
Yeah, so if his welcoming to bantamweight is Cody Garbrandt, I mean, on one end, it's hard to tell where Davison really's at, but I feel like Cody's going to show him enough to where we'll know his skill set at 135. Like he'll be tested, especially in the striking department, because I know flyweights chins are built different, but you're built different at 125. At 135, they tend to hit a little harder.
Yeah, I
Especially,
think I think Garbrandt's a better technical fighter. Like I think he is a better fighter than Figueiredo, but Figueiredo can catch him, and Figueiredo's fast as shit.
scrappier fellow. I'll say that. Davison Figueiredo is a scrappy little bastard, to say the
But like
least.
like you were saying about Cody Garbrandt, it depends on which Cody shows up. The thing is like even when he's bad, his skill level is still there. It's just his head. It's just like every time he fights, he is a pure talent and level of skill as being a fighter. He is the top notch. It just depends on how he is here.
Yeah. And like I said, anytime we go over fights, we know what we've seen out of fighters. That's how we make our predictions because we know what their skill set is, but you can never tell what someone's mental is going into a fight.
Yeah.
We saw literally, we'll talk about it later in the card, but Bryce Mitchell even talked about it. He was like, I fought like a pussy. He's like, I fought timid. And he's like, I can't win like that. And he knows it, everyone else knows it, but you don't know how you're gonna show up, but hindsight's always 2020. But regardless, great win for Cody. He showed out in the best way possible, put away a guy who should have minded his business and not said the wrong name. Because hopefully Brian Keller learns from his mistakes and just stops calling out guys that are significantly better than him for a payday. Because I mean, look, Cody's a draw still in his career. I think even if it's a
He's
little
got
bit,
he's got a good fan base.
yeah, it'll still get Brian Kelleher a paycheck, but I don't think it's worth the paycheck, buddy. I'd slow your roll. Anyway, the next fight after that, we had a women's fight, and honestly, I feel like I'm gonna go on a little rant here, but I'm gonna try to summarize it very shallowly. The whole discourse on social media when it comes to sports takes are so annoying due to it's so based on engagement farming or just trying to troll that if you try to hold anyone's word against them, they'll just say that A, they were trolling, or B, it's engagement farming. So they have plausible deniability in any of their takes. They could just say oh well, I didn't mean it, yada yada. And it annoys me so much because there are people that will go on Twitter and fully believe that women's fights are so boring and they're not enjoyable and they should not have in the UFC, or zero women fight should be on UFC 300. I'm gonna literally give you 5 names off the top of my head. Well, maybe not 5, but from what I have in my head already of who you should watch fight. Anytime Zhang Weili fights, anytime Rose fights. I mean, I know she had that one fight, which um Joanna, but I don't know. She didn't retire, did she?
Retired, yeah. But go watch her old fights.
Yeah, but for sure, anytime Zhang Weili fights, that's a man fighting, so you might as well tune in. There are women in the Aaron Blanchfield comes to mind, Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko, like now that they're coming to me. But if you watch these women fights, yes, there's a lot of mediocrity with some of the lower ranks and like women that aren't as exceptional as some of the other women in the division. But the cream of the crop for the women's divisions are badasses, and they can put on a show any given night. I can promise you that. And I really enjoy watching it, so I wish people would stop talking so down on it. And the reason why I bring this up is because literally on this card, Aldana fought
Irene
Rosa.
Aldana fought Carol Rosa.
Yeah, and I don't know if you watched the fight.
I did.
Holy shit, these women were banging.
Rapping, bro.
They were throwing bombs. It was straight, like they didn't even consider taking each other down for a moment. It was just you had on one end, I believe it was.
Rosa was chopping the shit out of Aldana's legs.
Oh no, Aldana was the biggest.
And Aldana was killing her with body shots.
Yeah. So, because what I saw early was Rosa was landing mean
Mean leg kicks. The inside
like,
leg kicks.
yeah, and the commentary booth, everyone knew it. They're like, they're like, we don't think her leg is gonna survive like the entire fight. But every time she took a leg kick, she always landed a combination. Like
right after. Dude, and then in the third round, she kept having Rosa back up and she was just hitting the body, like working the body.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, it was. And after the fight, they posted that photo together, like showing each other respect, and they were so banged up. And
Dude,
like,
it was fucking awesome. Dude, that's a fight that's like, you want to watch MMA? Like, this is a fucking fight right here.
yes, yes. Like introducing someone to MMA, it's like, hey, you've never like you're into MMA, you don't really know much about like women's division or women's fighting. Like this is what you can get yourself into. And
there's a lot of guys out there in the world that shit talk women's MMA, and they would not have stand there for 15 minutes and thugged it out like those girls did.
Oh, not a chance. Not a chance. But regardless, I wanted to give my flowers where credit was due. But moving on to our next couple fights, because I didn't really care a lot for the Alonzo Menifield Dustin Jacoby fight.
Really? I loved that fight.
Dude, that was one of the few ones of the night where like I mentally like tuned out, like I wasn't as engaged with some of the other fights. Because I mean, when you come off a banger, like you're like coming off a high from the Cody Garbrandt win, and then you watch a banger like that, like I need a break to either like eat
Dude,
food.
this one was a banger too, though.
I know, but I had to pick one to mentally check out of, and unfortunately, this was
All
the
right,
one.
I'll break it down. I like Dustin Jacoby a lot because he fought in Glory. He actually fought Alex Pereira when he was there.
Mm.
And the first round, he just picks him apart from the outside, like good stiff jabs that are bringing his head back, like little teep kicks, just keeping him out of range. And at the very end of the first round, Menifield rocks him with one punch. Dustin Jacoby gets like a minute of just like trying to survive, and then he's good. Second round, Jacoby's piecing him, rocking him. Halfway through, boom, drop to his feet like a corpse. He recovers. Menifield starts beating his ass. Third round, same thing. Jacoby's winning. Boom, Menifield drops him again.
Dude,
The problem was it's like Jacoby's 5 punches was equivalent to 1 punch of Menifield.
Yeah.
Because he just throws nukes. And Jacoby fights with his chin up in the air.
From what I remember of the fight, I want to say it was Jacoby who opened up the third or finished the second kind of stronger after he was getting his ass beat, and then his gas tank ran out. And Menifield, since he was not throwing high volume, but he was landing all his power shots, finally was able to like, all right, now you're the one running for your life. I'm going to start throwing my bombs.
It was a good fight, dude.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that was the only one I really like mentally checked out of, so I didn't get to see it. But Menifield did pick up the win, so that's good. But moving on to our next one,
Pay-per-view.
our pay-per-view, our main event. This was supposed to be, I believe, Josh Emmett versus, or no, it was supposed to be Vincent Luque versus Ian Gary.
Yeah, and then Josh Emmett was supposed to fight Chikazdi.
Yeah, Jakotsky. But anyway, Ian Gary's situation happened. We're not going to add on that anymore. We'll dunk on him at a later date. But Josh Emmett, Bryce Mitchell steps up on late notice, taking on Josh Emmett. We were fully convinced that if Josh Emmett lost, this was going to be his retirement fight. He knew that if he didn't have it anymore, he was just going to call it wraps, like no harm, no foul. It is what it is. And we were fully prepared for that because, in my opinion, going into the fight, I thought Bryce Mitchell's grappling was just going to be too much. I
Yeah.
thought he was going to forward pressure nonstop and Emmett was going to try to throw some bombs and Bryce would have had it. I saw the complete opposite. I saw a timid Bryce Mitchell, like falling for feints, always
Bro,
fighting
he
back
stuck
foot.
as soon as the fight started, he was in a back step.
Yeah,
He didn't try to press forward once.
yeah. And he broke down his game plan after the fact. He said in his mind he was going to try to work his jab and then hopefully be able to like turn that into his grappling and ground exchanges. Only problem was is he was waiting too much and he was fighting very timidly because he was waiting for Josh to throw and try to counterfight. And then he said after the fact he's like watching it back. I did die, but because he did get murdered. Like
Yeah.
that was one of the worst knockouts I've ever seen. I've never seen a man go into blunt force seizures before
Yeah.
after a fight, and it sounded like his
One punch too, dude.
yeah
One punch.
one punch, and it sounded like a baseball bat made contact with his orbital, and he just fell flat. Like worst I've ever seen.
Dude, I was watching it on my I had a football game on, I think, on the TV, and I'm
Yeah.
watching it on my laptop, and it's just one of those like my jaw just dropped. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
It sucks to see Emma in the post fight interview like, dude, that's not like we want the knockout, but we don't like knocking people out. You
Yeah.
know, and, like that's what he's trying to talk about. People are like, well, you yelled in his face right after. Like, yeah, dude, in the moment, he didn't know Bryce Mitchell was going to be a corpse. Like he had his brain didn't even have time to like recognize it. He just got hyped up, and then he walks over and you see him talking to his coach, and he looks back, and then he instantly is like, shit.
He sees a seizure in the eye,
Yeah.
and then he's like, "Oh, I may have killed a man on national television in front of
Who's
40,000."
about to be a father.
Yeah. Bro, Bryce killed me because right after he's like, "Yep, I'm back to building my barn. I don't remember anything." And it's like, yeah, I don't think you'd want to remember that. But golly, what a vicious knockout. And as you can see, but that goes back to the point we were talking about earlier. Like you just don't know what version of yourself is going to show up any given night. But regardless, amazing knockout. And it kind of leads me to one of the points I want to talk about. So this was our last card of 2020.
I got one thing.
Yo, what's up?
What do you think is for the future for both these guys?
I think you reschedule the fight with Josh Emmett and Chikadze.
I agree, and I don't think this fight really hurts Bryce Mitchell the way that we think it does.
I
Yes,
mean,
the bomber got knocked out, which is bad, but he took it on 2 weeks' notice.
it hurt him physically. That
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
off his life. I can
yeah,
promise.
but I don't think you really like discredit him in the rankings. Really, he got caught. He fought a guy on 2 weeks' notice who has one punch knockout power. Like that shit happens.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that on one end, but at like on the other end of things, like a loss is a loss in my opinion.
But he took it
Like,
on 2 weeks' notice, bro.
and that was his decision to take. Like, there's a reason why yes, you will get respected a ton by the fans, and the fans will love you for it. Morally, great decision. Everyone loves you for it. Business and rankings wise, it's a loss. Like
Yeah, but I don't think you drop him that much.
probably not because Josh Emmett's still a ranked guy. Like there's nothing
Yeah,
to really.
Josh Emmett still a dog. He was
Yeah,
just fighting for he just fought for the title.
yeah,
2 fights ago.
yeah. So regardless, I do think he drops a tad, just not very not super impactful. That's just the only way I see it. But that kicked off our main card. So after we were all starstruck after a man died, we got to watch a dead man try to continue his fighting career as Tony Ferguson fought Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. And I don't think I've ever just not cared for a fighter more than Paddy Pimblett. Like I really just don't care for his
I think
height.
it's crazy his like rise to fame and then fall off. Like last year, like a year ago, this kid was the most talked about guy in MMA. And now nobody like I didn't even know he was fighting until a couple weeks ago. His fall off
Yeah.
is insane.
I mean, it's kind of unfortunate because the way that Dana was trying to build the hype train, like Jared Gordon wasn't supposed, like no one
Yeah,
thought.
he wasn't supposed to beat Patty.
So when Patty got the bullshit victory, all that did was piss fans off and get them mad at Patty, even though it wasn't really in his control to have that
That's not
decision.
his fault. Yeah.
But now what's emerged is Jared Gordon's actually like a legit fighter.
Yeah.
Like Jared Gordon is legit. There's no doubt about that. So, maybe Patty does need to go through this kind of put no one really respects him or recognizes him, and it'll allow him to kind of tally on just BS fights, whatnot. Oh my god, I think my computer's gonna die. Um, but regardless, I still think that like this fight didn't really do anything for Paddy. We talked about it beforehand,
That was a
how
lose-lose situation.
yeah, it was a lose-lose situation, but like regardless, his like technique didn't look great. Like it
He
did.
didn't look like he improved at all.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, dude, his nose got busted up. Like let's call it what it is. Like
And I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but like I'm gonna be completely honest. Tony has terrible fight IQ. Now, the reason why he has bad fight IQ is because he's dangerous enough to finish you from anywhere, and he knows that. But at the same
yeah,
time, it's not good fight IQ. Like when you're just sitting there trying to elbow Paddy and like work from the guard, I understand like that's good for a short time scenario. It's not good for 4 minutes. Like you got to work to get up. And there was a couple times there was like he was winning the exchanges, and then would do something stupid that would like completely just cancel out what was happening. And I'm just like, bro, like he has no fight IQ. Paddy didn't look like anything spectacular at all. To think about guys like Michael Chandler and Islam and Gaethje and Dustin Poirier in the same division as him is insane. Thinking that he thinks he could fight those guys. Um, but overall, it was pretty much what we thought we were going to see.
yeah.
It
I
was
had
awesome seeing David Goggins say, "You got to be you, Tony. You got to be you." Like
yeah.
I didn't think he was trying to be anybody else, David. I think he was. I think he was pretty damn Tony Ferguson, brother.
Yeah, but see, here's what bothers me is because like Tony brings him into his camp, and like from Goggins' point of view, I doubt Goggins was like, "Let me corner you." Like it
Yeah.
probably wasn't like that. Tony probably brought him on, and he's expecting Goggins to provide him some help. But dude, you're in a fight. What the fuck can Goggins say other than
Yeah.
inspirational shit? You want Goggins to be like, "Oh yeah, you're really not doing well from the bottom position. I need you to transition." Even though you know 10 times more than me in any facade of fighting other than actual like war. Like, what are we expecting? Like, what are we really expecting out of him? But you know, we talked about the whole week leading up, and I think someone summarized it perfectly about like where Tony kind of got lost. It's perfectly just because his fighting style just can't keep up with his age. He's always been kind of like a reflexive, like spur of the moment fighter who relied mostly on his athleticism and his speed and his just intangibles to kind of like win fights. Like you couldn't plan for Tony. The problem is he's lost so like I would say he lost a step, but honestly the dude's falling down the fucking stairs at this point.
Yeah.
Like
He also relied on being able to take a lot of damage. And you can
yes.
only do that for 5 fights max the way he was
Well,
doing.
when you get absolutely put through hell with Justin Gaethje and then Michael Chandler physically removes your soul with his left foot,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to fight anymore. And like if he would have fought Paddy probably like 6 fights earlier, he doesn't even get like rocked by any of the shots that Paddy throws. But now you really see his chin health diminish so much. Like he's just not able to stand fights as much. Now, no one's ever questioned his quit. Like the dude never quits.
Yeah, he's a dog.
Yeah, he's a dog. We all know this.
Yeah, he's a dog.
But sometimes the dog has to be brought out back like old Yeller and just put a bullet in him.
Yeah,
Like
dude, I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do with him now.
you got to feed him to the just best striker and just hopefully you kill him in the octagon. You got to
You got it. Kill Tony.
you got to kill Tony, dude. You have to physically kill him because he will never admit he's done. Physically kill
All
him.
right, Tony, you're on an 11 fight losing streak. Stephen Thompson just dropped down to 155. So
We're giving you one opportunity. You have to fight Cyril Gane at heavyweight. What do you say?
he's like, I'm with
Yes.
it. I'm with it, brother.
He's like 6 fights in the title.
Yeah. No, now it's 7 fights in the title.
Hold on, brother. I'm bulking. But regardless, Tony, please retire. We're
Yeah, for
begging.
the love of God, please.
I've never begged more for a retirement fight in my entire life.
Uh,
But regardless, one of the points I wanted to touch on earlier that I completely forgot about, and I want to talk about it now. Dude, this was the last part of 2023. Yes or no? Like no fight nights, no anything like
yeah,
that. Like
no, it's last part overall, yeah.
why don't the UFC awards take place now?
Yeah, I know. That doesn't make any sense.
Because the way I see it is you have no more fights after this. You literally have all the fights in the calendar year, and then you can just do the voting based off that. because I promise you, Josh Emmett would have won knockout of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Easily.
100%.
Easily. Sean probably would have won fighter of the year just based off the events that occurred last night. And he didn't even fight. Well, he fought, just not sanctioned. Like, honestly, I don't understand where the mistake was there. I feel like they just kind of like,
Yeah, who sat them there? Because the UFC definitely gave them the tickets.
oh, you're talking about who sat them there?
Yeah.
Dana White already came out and said he did it. He said he goes through seating every week, and he's like, who's the asshole that sat them next to each other? This guy. And he's like, I don't know how I missed that. He's like, I don't know how I missed that. I'm like, no, you did it on purpose.
Yeah. He
Just
did it on
didn't
purpose.
expect them to actually throw hands.
He did it on purpose.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And by the way, the people that were trying to sit there and say like, oh, like it's like WWE. Here's the thing about the WWE.
He actually fucking hit him.
The WWE is solely entertainment based. The only downside to it is we know it's fake. This was solely for entertainment's sake, except this was not fake at all. These men were actually trying to kill each other.
Yeah. Sean would have fought him in the parking lot. He didn't care where it was.
Sean doesn't care about anything.
Yeah.
I doubt Sean would literally be like, they're like Strickland, look, if you fight any guys outside of the octagon, you will lose your belt. He's like, dude, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
He's like,
This man wore a white tee with jeans and his car keys on his belt buckle, on his like belt loop.
yep,
That's what he wore to UFC sitting on the front row.
yep, 100%, 100%. Like, there's no doubt about it.
Man right there, man.
He's Trevor and GTA personified.
Yeah. Dude, it's crazy how in the span of 1 year, he went from someone I couldn't stand to like one of my favorite guys.
Oh, easily.
Yeah. I
Like,
hate him.
yeah, because here's the thing. He like all his kind of like the only comments that got Sean Strickland famous were his like outrageous outtakes that caused people to react to it in mostly a negative light. But once he became champion and you saw everything he does and how everything he says kind of gets magnified.
Story got told a little.
Yeah, you realize like, yes, the dude is a piece of shit sometimes, and he's just very abrasive and comes off the wrong way a lot of the times. But can you really blame the guy? Like, I feel like his upbringing is like very responsible for the way he acts.
Thing is he's genuine. Like when he does things that are like
he's very honest to himself.
exactly things that are like questionable, or you're like, oh, he's just being an asshole. No, he's not trying to be. He's being genuine. Like he's just being himself. And like for what he's come up through, he's doing a pretty damn good job of it, you know?
Yeah. And one thing I loved is so when the whole Dreykus thing went down, he literally like what happened was because Gilbert Burns' wife, who was sitting in the row in between them, was literally the one blocking them. So when they put the camera on them, they show Dreykus first, and then they pan to Sean. Sean does his like finger guns or whatever. And apparently, according to Gilbert's wife, Dreykus was like, "Oh, like fight me," like pretty much trying to egg on Sean. So Sean was like, "Okay." Turns around, politely asks Gilbert's kids. He's like, "Hey, honey, can you step out of the way for it for a moment?" The moment they moved out of the way, he just jumps on top of him.
Yeah, Superman punches him, dude.
Yeah, and honestly, huge respect to the fighters that were around because Jamal Hill immediately grabbed Gilbert's wife and children and kind of shielded them off. So he was trying to step in the way. But you had Volk in the vicinity. You had Jamal Hill in the vicinity. You had Craig Jones in the vicinity. You had all these
Allen.
Yeah, all ththese professional fighters that could have stopped the fight. No one did shit except Chuck Liddell.
Yeah, no one cared. They're like, all right, let him fight.
Yeah. 56-year-old Chuck Liddell was like, he's like, I need to intervene. He's like, I need to step in here. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, dude.
Awesome. 10 out of 10.
It was awesome. That was awesome. And Gilbert's wife like gave respect to Sean. Like, yeah, he was a gentleman about it, and it wasn't his fault. Dreykus egged it on. He said, all right. He stood on business.
And the people that are like mad about it, that are like, oh, well, like they could have gotten hurt and the fight would have backed out. I don't care. This is probably the best fight promo we've ever seen for a card.
Well, the thing is that's real. Like
that's
Sean
real.
Doesn't fight for like Coach Vince talked about this the other day. He goes, Sean Strickland loves fighting more than anybody else. He doesn't fight for Instagram followers. He doesn't fight for money. He doesn't fight for like girls. He literally just wants to get in there and beat the shit out of somebody. You know, and that's the thing is like when Dreykus didn't think he was actually going to fight him. Like he was just talking shit. And Sean was like, all right, I don't care. He's like, all right, we can do this. Like Sean stands on business.
Oh, 100%. And the thing I love more than anything is that one video of Sean Strickland where like Keith Lee tried to talk shit to Sean and Sean's like crying tears of joy. He's like, please let me fight you. He's like, please, I want nothing more than to beat your ass. I'm like, dude, what is going on in this dude's head? Like, this dude's insane.
Dude, they
Like,
say he spars like every day of the week.
yeah, no, someone came at him and was like, hey, why don't you get back in the gym? And he tweeted the dude, he was like, I just spent 35 minutes wrestling the best wrestlers I've ever faced in my life, and I just spent 35 more minutes striking the best strikers I've ever struck in my life. Don't ever question my fucking work ethic. And I was like, oh brother.
Damn.
I was like, this guy means business.
Yeah, the guy's standing on business.
24/7. Oh my God. New award. The Clocks on the Stove Standing on Business Award. Sean Strickland nominee. Our next fight, though, as we move along, we had a welterweight matchup between the undefeated Shavkat Rakhmonov and the Wonderboy Stephen Thompson. Unfortunately, this went about as well as everyone thought it would. Shavkat just did what he had to do to
He
win.
just
But
knocked him down until he could grab him and then killed him. It was
here,
literally like he just followed Stephen Thompson around until he couldn't run away anymore. And then once he got his hands on him, he just like, shh, and
yeah,
just slowly killed him.
I'm gonna go to the ground.
Yeah.
Except he probably only knows one word, so he probably just said it like he would to a dog. He goes, lay down, lay down.
It's like
But
literally, I'm telling you, the way I picture it, the best way to describe it is like he just walked around and just followed Wonderboy till Wonderboy got so tired from walking around that once he got his hands on him, he just like big brothered him to the ground.
oh my God. But there are so many things about this fight that I need people to realize. First off, um, Shavkat, I don't know if you heard or saw, but Shavkat tore his ankle.
Well, all right, so that's
Or didn't tear it.
he injured his ankles. The tearing thing's not true. You can't tear your ankle, but he injured his ankle. Yeah,
You saw the photos though,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It was fucked up.
Severe ankle injury.
Yeah,
Doesn't tell like the Chad he is, doesn't say anything about it. Just tapes the shit out of his ankles. It was like, yeah, I'm gonna fight Wonderboy Thompson. Doesn't complain at all. And then has to switch his game plan to primarily grappling because he said in the post-fight interview, he's like, I would have liked to kickbox more, but I literally can't stand on like my foot. Because if he would have gone into a kickboxing exchange with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and if he would have, I'm not saying he would have, but if he did beat Wonderboy in a striking competition,
yeah. There's a title shot no matter what.
yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah,
That's the scariest thing you can imagine. Is you're like, oh, this guy you thought was a full-blown wrestler and was just gonna wrestle fuck him, which he did. Like he just turned into like the best striker alive.
well,
And
his
just
boxing is very good.
yeah, and that's what people need to realize. It wasn't like Wonderboy, well, he made some mistakes, obviously, but Wonderboy had no opportunity in the fight to circle out.
Yeah, hey, dude, he got his angles cut the whole fight.
Shavkat stood in the perfect position the entire fight. Wonderboy got up against the cage and was like, oh shit. And then physically could not get away.
And
It was like,
Shavkat didn't rush. He never ran after Steven. He just walked. He just
yeah.
kept the same pace, kept walking and stalking and stalking, and then once he saw the opportunity, he got his hands on him.
And I don't think Wonderboy's ever been submitted.
No, he was. That was the first time ever.
That was the first time ever being submitted.
And I was talking to one of my mom's students today, and he was like, it's boring. That fight was boring. The way he fights boring. This and that. Da 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 da. I go, he's the only guy to ever submit Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who's probably going to go be in Hall of Famer.
See,
And he was like, yeah, and I was like, I understand that like having fans and being entertaining and making a business out of this is very important. But if you broke down every single thing that matters, and the very tip of the top number one thing is win the fight over anything else, over entertainment, over big knockout, over this and that. The number one thing is to win the fight.
yeah,
It's more important than selling the fight. The number one objective is to win the fight, and that's what he did. And he did it at a very high caliber style and a very high caliber fighter. And I
yeah,
love the thing that you put in the notes because I agree with this 100%. Shavkat is what Hamzat was supposed to be. He is
100%.
way better than Hamzat.
Oh, 1 billion%.
He doesn't talk shit at all.
He's very just to himself. After he's finished fighting, he goes and hunts for his food up in
Yeah.
the
He
Kazakhstan.
hugs Wonderboy like he's such a fucking nice guy.
Yeah, 100%. But I feel like I lost my train of thought, but I want to try to bring it.
Shavkat is Wonderboy.
I know. Oh my God. It was about something else, but it has something to deal with this.
Shavkat is what Kamzat was supposed to be.
No, it was, oh my God. You saying that like made me forget what I was gonna say. I was gonna bring up a different point. Um, but
Damn.
I feel like it has something to do. Oh yeah, I remember now. We've talked about this before, but I feel like I kind of just want to like put the nail in the coffin at this point by bringing this back up. If you are at the top of your game, fights are going to look boring. When you are that much better than someone, when you learn mixed martial arts, one of the first things they tell you is to only use it for self-defense. Like you're not supposed to like do anything extra. Like you're not supposed to try to like kill someone, harm someone. Like it's literally taught to you from the very basics. No one is trying to go out there and showboat and trying to like murder someone. Okay, well, maybe some fighters, but
Yeah.
like true mixed martial artists, like pure mixed martial artists, do what's necessary and nothing more. Shavkat will probably never truly excite you because his method of fighting isn't, oh, I'm gonna risk something and like try to get myself hurt while also trying to finish fight. I'm gonna make you fight my battle and I'm gonna win as easily as possible.
Also, while taking the least amount of damage, and that's another thing that's very important that people forget about is like they love watching these brutal knockouts like Josh Emmett and stuff like that. But like your objective as a fighter is to go in there and steal as much damage as possible while taking as least damage as possible. And he took no damage.
Yeah, it's literally like the reason why people wanted Demetrius Johnson out of the UFC so bad. Dude was so good that it made every fight boring.
Yeah.
Same thing, same thing that happens. Like you would think you would if you put the two best strikers, like technical strikers, not brawlers, but technical strikers against one another. You would think 99% of the time it's going to be a banger, but a majority of the time it ends up being like a boxing match where it's all feints. It's all who's going to fail, who's going to fall for the first feint, and they're going to get caught with something, and the fight's over. It's not going to be a slugfest. It's not
You
going to
make
be.
up one little tiny error that's going to change the whole fight.
It's going to change the whole fight. It's the same. It happens every time with Izzy and Pereira. It's never going to be It's never going to be like a barn burner where like fight to the finish. It's someone is going to land one solid shot and it's game over.
Yeah.
And
Someone's going to take one step half an inch too short or half an inch too deep. They're done.
you saw with Aljamain Sterling and Sean O'Malley. Overextended, caught, new champ. There you go. But like
1 second of the fight changed the whole outcome.
full outcome, and that's it. And that's what happens when you're at the top of your game. You can kind of get away with that shit in maybe the lower divisions. Like I've seen Pantoja take 37 knees to the face and just not react. I don't know what he's made of, but that dude terrifies me. But the higher weight you go, the least amount of mistakes you're allowed to make.
Yeah. Because them hands hurt.
Yes, a lot. Well, I feel like Bryce didn't hurt at all. I feel like he just woke up 2 days
Oh,
later.
yeah. He probably didn't hurt, but like definitely wasn't fun.
Yeah, no, not at all. Regardless, moving on to our next fight. Um, Pantoja, who I just brought up, makes first title defense over Brandon Royval.
Yep.
Brandon Royval, yeah. I accidentally had my notes that Royval said a comment, but I'll remove that and talk to later when we talk about our other general sports news. But here's what I got from the fight. Pantoja looks to have all the skill set necessary to retain the belt in the division and sustain it for some time. It's just very hard to tell in the flyweight division because all of them are very similar. They're like, I feel like every time I watch them, they're all good strikers. They all have good sprawling. They all have good clinch work. Like they're all like interchangeable. It feels like it just feels like someone gets the better of them a certain night. The only thing that sets Pantoja apart about everyone else in the division is I literally cannot see this guy getting like wobbled. It doesn't matter what you hit him with, the dude just walks through it. He fights as if getting knocked out isn't a possibility. And that's terrifying because for every fighter, you have some caution in the back of your mind that's telling you like, oh, I can't press that far forward, or oh, I need to be like cautious going into this. Like you're very aware of it. It may not be like the forefront of your game plan, but you're aware of it that you could be knocked out. Pantoja doesn't care. He will let you throw whatever, he'll get hit by whatever, and he'll return something twice as hard. Because we saw him eat, I think, was it a spinning elbow and a knee in the fight, and just nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Dude, he's also super, super technical on top. And I know like in the second and third round, it was a little boring with the grappling to people, but like if you understood what he was doing, like the way he gets under both arms in half guard and completely gets rid of Roval's arms on the ground. and just crushing him with shoulder pressure. And then he locks up Royval's leg and like reverse half guards him to slowly sneak out his leg. Like that is so high level. Like he took no damage there. Where when you saw in the Paddy fight when they were in that position, Paddy got worked by Tony. The only thing about Pantoja is his cardio is not bad. It's his pace that's bad. He came out sprinting in the first 2 rounds, like literally going so fast. In the fifth round, he was gassed.
Yeah.
And he just got to learn how to like. I understand that part of that too is like it literally was what happened to me in my last fight. You get so like amped up and ready to go, you just want to go, But like when you're fighting 5 rounds, you can't do that, dude. That's 20. That's a 30 minutes in the octagon. It's a long time.
Yeah.
But I think he's very solid. He proved to me how good he was. Some people were saying Royval won that fight, which I don't even see how you would say that. But he's very good. I thought when he beat Moreno, I was like, oh, they're trying to get the belt moving, but no, he's extremely technical, dude.
Yeah. I think he'd be good if he held the belt for a while. I don't like when belts are just getting thrown around. It
Yeah, me neither.
kind of just like it loses its like value for championship fights just because like that like there's not
It's
an
not as
up.
much on the line.
Yeah, there's not like you just feel like, oh, passing the torch again, like anyone can beat anyone. It is what it is. But regardless, it was an entertaining co-main event, and it was a million times better than what we got for a main event. But let's just jump right into it. Leon Edwards gets a decision win over Colby Covington, 49-46, unanimous decision. Colby, after the fight, thought that he had won the fight, even though he obviously didn't. I don't see how you could argue that at all.
I think you could low key say he lost every round but the fifth, but I'd probably give him the fourth and fifth maybe.
Yeah, I'd probably give him the fourth. Like I'm like when I
One
was
through three, no way he won 1 through 3.
yeah,
Yeah,
not
he got
and
taken down in the third.
the fourth one, the way I was watching, I was like, Leon probably got that, but I was like, oh, Colby could have got it. Like kind
Yeah,
of situation, but
Leon took him down in the third round.
took him down twice.
Dude, have you seen the memes? That's like Colby's wrestling credentials, NCAA All American, 2-time Pac-10 champion. This. It's like Leon's wrestling credentials. 17-year-old mom brings him to a gym in Birmingham.
But it's true. Honestly, here's how I kind of viewed the fight. I should have anticipated more that Colby's ring rust was going to be worse than it was. I always try to avoid that fact, but it is true about everyone. When you don't fight for a while, it does make an impact on how you game plan. It affects how you return to fights. Like when you take that significant amount of time off, it's not that easy to just go back in as if nothing happened,
Especially when you're 35.
especially when you're 35. Here's how I viewed the fight as it was happening. I thought Leon's game plan was fully set on Colby was going to pressure with wrestling. So he was very much fighting. So like trying to counterpunch, take his time, kill him with leg kicks, try to stop his front leg, slow Colby down as much as possible. It looked like Colby wanted to bang in the early rounds and try to stand up and fight with him. And it took him way too long to realize that Leon was way too technical for him, way too fast for him, and simply just a better fighter at this point in his career. I feel like if he would have came out earlier with the wrestling, it may have been more in his favor because look, I feel like he welcomed losing the takedowns. Like instead of fighting certain positions, because I felt like he could have fought longer during the Leon takedown, but I feel like he gave up the takedown because he knew his sprawling was so good that he had the opportunity to reverse the positions, get back on top, and try to do some ground and pound damage. I could try to see where that would work in his favor. The only problem is Leon did a very good job of anytime he took his shot, I believe it was in the third and the fifth round, or maybe it was the third and the fourth round, but when he took his shots, they were so late in the round that even if Colby was able to work out of it and get on a top position, there wasn't enough time to do any significant damage, and Leon already had secured the round. So Leon's game plan, or adjustment, I should say, for the rounds moving forward was beautiful. Once he realized Colby was trying to stand and strike, he moved up with his kicks rather than chop the leg anymore. He went for the body. That caused Colby. You saw that kind of meme of like his like stance, like, oh, like new stance shot. What people don't understand was what Colby's trying to do in that situation is he's bringing in his arm so he can use his elbow to deflect the body kick. He's trying to stop the teep kick with his elbow so he doesn't take as much damage and so that he can still keep his hand up enough to fight. Only problem is that makes you strictly a striker from then on out. Your wrestling's gone. You saw it in the second round when he like tried to at least show it where like just lean forward and grab Leon's leg. dude, that was never going to do anything. If you're going to shoot for it. He doesn't even care at this point because you haven't showed him anything that would make him even scared of it. I think Colby got was what, 2 for something on takedowns?
Yeah, I think they both got 2 takedowns.
Yeah, they both got 2 takedowns, but overall, man, I just think it was a very poor showing from Colby. I think the game plan definitely wasn't there. You would think he would come in with a different mindset considering where Leon's strength lies in and where his strength lies in. Um, but hey, man, it is what it is. You got to bounce back after this. Leon, I think what he proved to me, because a lot of the Leon, because I would never say I was a Leon hater, but I feel like when he did win the belt, he was just kind of like doing what champs do, like being a little cocky and like it just kind of like, I don't know, rubbed me the wrong way, I guess. But there is no denying that Leon was so good in this fight that it made Colby look significantly worse than he is.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the case. I don't think Colby was necessarily that bad. I think the ring rust did play a part and he wasn't as effective as he normally is, like as we saw in the Usman fights. But what I did see was a perfect Leon that Colby was never going to beat the way he came in. Like that's just plain and simple. Leon was so good it made Colby look bad. And it's not to discredit Leon at all. And for people saying like, oh, for saying he's going to make him pay and you only got a decision, that wasn't his fault. Once he realized Colby was on the back foot, he became aggressive. But he also knew he couldn't walk into a mistake and just let Colby land a random, because that was the only chance Colby had was a wild haymaker. And he has pillow hands. Like, let's be honest, dude wasn't going to finish him with anything he was throwing that night. So I just feel like Leon won in the best way possible, took the least amount of damage he could have, and can turn around and defend his belt again at any time.
Gonna give my quick rundown on the Colby fight. Um, 2 things. One, I think Colby was a little hesitant to start shooting right away, and I think he was scared to get stuffed and then gas out because he's tried too hard in the beginning. I also think seeing that Leon has knockout power made him a little hesitant. What Leon did, and I'm tired of people shitting on Leon saying he talked all that smack and that's all he did. No, 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 no. Colby talked all that smack and didn't even try to go out swinging. If you're gonna talk as much smack as he did, you get knocked out. Like you go out swinging. Um, right off the bat, as soon as the fight started, Leon had Colby on his back foot. You can't shoot on your back foot. So he had him backing up the whole first and second round. That shut down the wrestling before the wrestling even got started. Also, dude, the precision of his striking. I don't think he throws and misses. I don't think he throws and misses ever. I think every single thing he throws lands.
He gets blocked or something, but it's
Yeah.
it's it's hitting something.
It's hitting something every like Colby's throwing 5 and 2 are landing. Every single thing Leon throws lands. But that's all I really got to think about it. I think Colby's a little old. I think his body's got a little wear and tear on it, like Tony's does. I don't think Colby was bad. I hate when people like let's have to talk now. He was never that good. No, I think he was. I think he's old, and I don't think he deserved that title shot. We've been saying that, But I think Leon needs to get more respect. But I'm gonna be completely honest. I think Shavkat's the future of the division. I think Shavkat is the future.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God. Because the problem, the way I'm looking at it now is like Bilal's not going to be able to ugly wrestle Shavkat. So Shavkat's just going to outstrike him and win. And then on the other end, if you try to go the striking route and he fights Leon, he's literally just going to stalk Leon down, and there's absolutely no way he's going to be able. And what would terrify me is if he like knocked out Leon, like he outstruck Leon and knocked him out. Then I'd be like,
And
okay,
he's immortal.
that he's immortal.
Yeah.
He's Khabib like more terrifying. He's a
Yeah.
more terrifying Khabib, in my opinion. But
He's good, dude.
dude, he terrified. But he's such a nice dude. He's like the most non-threatening like person I've ever seen in interviews. Like just so like very peaceful, like only wants good things. And then he's like, yeah, but I kill people.
Yeah.
I get paid to kill
You see the
people.
videos of him in like the wolf, like wearing the wolf as an outfit and shit?
Yeah, the mink. And
Yeah.
he has a sniper rifle and he's up in like -30 degrees and he's like, today I'm hunting snow leopards. We're like,
What's
so
your
you
favorite animal? Horse. What's your favorite animal to eat?
horse. It's good meat. It's good meat.
Uh,
Um, that kind of wraps up our UFC portion of it. We have some more general sports news, which also kind of touches back into UFC. So we might as well just get the UFC all done and out of the way. So the next thing I want to talk about is some upcoming cards, but more specifically, the one that is taking place not too far away from me. And I will be doing my damnedest to get tickets to this. And I hope my co-host, Mr. Fisher, can join me in this adventure because I will be going to UFC 299 in the Kaseya Center at Miami. The fights that Dana White has announced for this card are absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what happened. I don't know what side chick he has in Miami. I don't know who is diddling his balls under the table in Miami, but this card is insane. Insane.
There's not one bad fight on the whole card,
One bad fight.
including the early prelims.
Yeah. Dude, we have a prelim fight featuring Rafael Dos Anjos and Matsus Gamrot.
A former world champion.
That is a fight night main event any other month of the year.
Yeah.
My only question is, why not make this the UFC 300 card?
Something big got to be there. They must have something big.
Well, number one, it's got to be Conor. There's
no one else that could headline that.
There's no way Conor doesn't fight on UFC 300. I'm sorry. And if he doesn't, it's the biggest fumble of Dana's career.
No, he will. He will.
But I mean, let's just go over some of the fights just that have been announced thus far. I don't have the graphic pulled up. I want to say I said
But in order from early prelims to main event. CJ Vergara versus Asu Ambalaev, Lauren Murphy versus Karen Silva, Pedro Munoz versus Kyler Phillips. By the way, Kyler Phillips trains with Sugar Sean. Remember Pedro and Sugar Sean had a draw. They had the no contest. Macy Barber, Caitlin Sarah Manera. I don't know how to say that. Gamrot versus RDA. Jaylaton Almeida versus Curtis Blades. Now to the pay-per-view. Jeff Neal, Ian Gary. Gilbert Burns, Jack Della Maddalena. Peter Yan Sung Yadong. MVP makes his UFC debut versus Kevin Holland. And Sean defends his belt over his only loss, Cheeto Vera.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Dude, that MVP Kevin Holland fight. Oh my God.
That's gonna be money, dude.
Like I can't not afford to go to that fight. Like if I going to, I forget what was it, UFC 287 that was in Miami?
I don't remember.
The one that we went to was a 286.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Regardless, one of the best days of my entire life. Poatan, my Lord and Savior, did die that night, unfortunately. But other than that, like top five would 100% do again, and I will do it.
That was the most fun sporting event I ever went to in my life.
Yes, and I will not miss it again. Now that I've gotten a taste of it, it's almost like heroin. It's almost like heroin. Like I got a taste of it, and I won't necessarily leave the state in search of it, but when it's in my backyard, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna get to it. So I'm 100% gonna try my best to go to this fight. I hope we're able to make it because we will have tons of content. Last time we went, we ran into Eric Anders, who, by the way, former football player for Alabama. And speaking of football players, this brings me into my next point. Grayson, I don't know if you saw the tweet from Rashad Mendenhall. Did you see it? Yeah. I don't know if you saw it or not, but I'm going to pull it up real quick so that way we can kind of discuss it. But pretty much what happened was Rashad Mendenhall gets on Twitter or X, whatever you may call it. And this is what he says. Oh, did he take the tweet down? Oh, no, he didn't. Okay. I'm sick of average white guys commenting on football. Y'all not even good at football. Can we please replace the Pro Bowl with an all black versus all white bowl so these cats can stop trying to teach me who's good at football? I'm better than your GOAT. Immediately, what the comments were under this were, number one, CTE claims another victim, which by the way, the CTE comment for football is just the new phrase for calling someone retarded. Because now anytime you say something remotely stupid or dumb, they can just immediately blame it on a brain injury, which you may or may not have, and just say, oh, hey, he's done. Like, it's over. Which I love personally, because now every football player immediately has a defense for any take they have for the rest of their lives. They could just say they have a little bit of CTE and they'll be covered. And the second comment point that was raised, which I think needs to be discussed, is if we did the all white versus all black bowl, what team does Mike McDaniels coach for?
Ooh.
What team does Patrick Mahomes play for? Does the 50% belong to one side or the other? Now,
Where's Max Crosby playing?
we own him, brother. But
What's our last thing on here?
wait, hold on. What I will say though is this, because I was actually thinking about it if they did do the all black versus all white bowl game. Number one, the all white offensive line would absolutely wreak havoc, and
Yeah,
Christian McCaffrey would run for 4 touchdowns. My only problem is
the defense.
there's no shot in hell we cover Tyreek Hill, so we're running cover
There's no
4.
DBs.
We're running cover 4. We're running cover 4 the whole game. That's all that matters. We're just going to pray to God that TJ Watt, Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, and whatever other white defensive tackle we throw out there is able to sack, I don't know, Lamar Jackson or Paddy, depending on what 50% that he decides. What I say they do is they pick the all white, all black team, and then they do a coin toss to do a biracial draft, like the Dave Chappelle skit. And then you go by there. So I think first pick, Paddy would go one way. I don't know any other of our biracial players in the NFL. Is Dane Belton biracial?
I don't think so. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm gonna ask him about it. Regardless, would be a very interesting matchup because the Pro Bowl is boring as shit anyway. So why not just turn it into a race war at this game? Another point that was raised that was really good about this. If it was a bowl game, who do you think would sponsor the race bowl? Now I have some off the top of my head that I read. Number 1, Duke's mayonnaise. Number 2, Popeye's chicken.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the number 3 slot. But regardless, we could have a ton of sponsors sponsoring this event. I would love to see it. But regardless, good job, Rashad Mendenhall. Possible bait turned into a all-time debate. But next up, Chip Kelly. I want to talk about Chip Kelly for a little bit. He talked about, or he was asked in an interview recently about the recent deal with NIL, college football playoff, conference alignment, all this stuff. And they asked him, how do you fix it? And Chip Kelly gave probably, arguably, the greatest take I've ever heard any man say in the current realm of NCAA football. Because, look, let's be honest, we opened up Pandora's box with this whole NIL shit. We did not try to put any boundaries on it. We literally just let it to the world, and we are starting to see the worst outcomes in all phases. Like the worst of the worst is getting exposed. It's professionalized now. It's TV market driven. There's no amateurism in it anymore. I really don't. As a football fan, yeah, I like it, but as a college football fan, I'm not that big of a fan. The amateurism is lost on me a little bit. It just feels like you can just up and leave and go to any school. It's different teams every year. It's hard to root for guys, in my opinion. But did you see the video of what he said?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It just makes too much sense, and that's the issue. It's never going to happen.
Yeah. What I think the biggest thing that's holding him back is there's so many TV deals now with like SEC Network, ACC
This
Network.
year showed that it's a business first, and they're always going to do business first.
Yeah, they're always going to do business first. Even though if you just redo it, the model would be 10 times better this way. Here's what I don't understand, and here's what kills me. Yes, the TV market and that drives a lot of what they do. But if you just do what's best for the game, the TV and the market will follow. Like it will follow in short order. It will adjust to the best way possible. And they talked about the Coach Jason Brown released a video about this because I like listening to his takes sometimes. Man has been in football for a while. He has some takes from time to time.
Sometimes he's money.
Yeah, sometimes he's on point. And he said it best. He said the 12-team playoff doesn't give more opportunity for lesser teams to get a chance. It just puts more of the big market teams in. He's like, you just saw a undefeated Power 5 team get left out of the playoff. You think they're going to respect any 13-0 group of 5 when there's one loss SEC and Big Ten schools? He goes, no. They don't care, and they never will care.
Never.
And honestly, if you look at it in the FCS has a what, 16 team playoff or something crazy like that, or is it
I think it's
12?
more. I think it's 32.
Is it 32?
It's big. For
Yeah,
top 8 seeds get a bye.
yeah. Well, think of it this way: in the FCS with the 32 team playoff, no team outside the top four has ever won the Natty. No team outside the top four has ever won the Natty. Yeah, you have some upsets here or there, but like usually the one or two preseason seeds end up winning it all anyway, or the seeds
Are you
that
sure no team outside the top four has won it?
I saw today. You can look it up. Swear, no team outside the top, and I'm pretty sure no team outside the top three has won it other than like once or twice.
Damn.
Yeah, so the fourth and three seed win it like once every 5 years, but like it's usually always the one or two seed ends up bringing it home. So it just like again, you're just gonna see more teams you don't want to see in there. You're gonna see teams get left out that shouldn't have been left out. Like it is what it is. Regardless, though, I do hope it gets fixed at some point, or I hope we see some ramifications for some of the actions. But whatever. And other football news. Steelers safety, I forget his name, but he's suspended for the rest of the year for his hit on Michael Pittman Jr. If you haven't seen the video,
It's
I'm
bad.
sure it's bad. But Tom Brady spoke out about this and he goes, "This is the exact problem I'm talking about. A guy has no other option to make a play on the football, and the quarterback faces no ramifications for throwing a literal hospital ball and getting his receiver killed. Instead, they're only punishing defensive players. And this guy is going to have to sit out for the rest of the year when, quite frankly, I don't see how he could have done anything different." And yeah, you say like, "Oh, well, you don't lead with your head." First of all, the guy is perfectly horizontal. There's no other object on his body that he could have hit. Secondly, didn't even hit him head to head. He hit him with his shoulder and the top of the chest plate, but because he's horizontal, his body folded like a backwards lawn chair. So honestly, as about as textbook as it gets, because if that was 10 years ago, the safety would have also gone horizontal and
Yeah.
actually ended that man's life. And he would have never played football again.
Yeah.
Ever. Like Michael Pittman's career would have ended right then and there. But regardless, I'm tired of seeing defensive players get punished for just playing the game hard. It honestly feels like everything's such in favor for offenses that it's such a joke. Like I hate it so much. Like they used to say defensive wins championships. That's not the case anymore. I'm sorry, but like
No.
it's so offensive driven. And we'll end on this last point. Uh the Brock Purdy Drew Brees comparisons need to stop. We need to calm down. This kid is in what? His first year, second year?
Second year. Yeah, but I do think he gets overhated.
I do think he gets overhated.
Yeah. I don't think he's on Drew Brees level, but I do think he gets overhated.
I do think he gets overhated. I do think he's a very talented quarterback and he would find some success on other teams. But here's the other argument I don't get is they're like, "Oh, if you put him on the Panthers, like he wouldn't be doing this." Like, yeah, no shit. You could put prime Tom Brady on the Panthers and he'd probably miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're god awful. Like terrible teams are terrible teams, not because they have a good quarterback or not.
How is it Brock Purdy's fault that he's doing everything he's supposed to do with the team he's on?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Like, and it goes to the other point because did you see the thing where Cam Newton was getting flamed about his comments about game managers?
yes.
Yeah. So here's what people also need to understand: being a game manager isn't an insult. If you are an elite game manager, you are Tom Brady, you are Peyton Manning,
You're a Hall of Famer.
you are a Hall of Famer. If you are
Yeah.
an elite game manager, all that means is you don't make any like you don't do the extraordinary. You just do the right thing every time.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like Brock Purdy.
You're consistent as shit.
The thing is though, is Brock Purdy does have a little bit of that Drew Brees-esqueness where he has that ability to roll out and make plays with his arm outside the pocket, but it's not to the consistency and level that Drew Brees is doing it. Drew Brees was literally taking undesignated free agents and turning them into Pro Bowlers, which was
Yeah,
insane.
but also, dude, this kid's in his second year of his career. He has a lot of time, man.
Yeah, a lot of time.
A lot of time.
A lot of time. Like pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. But regardless, I have nothing more to say.
I'm tired. I need to go to bed.
Yeah. Final words for the evening. Screw the college football playoff. I still believe that firmly. I know Florida State has like 5 or 6 players sitting out now for the Georgia game, so we're
It's
gonna get
probably going to be more. It's probably going to keep going up.
we're probably gonna get curb stomped so bad that I don't even feel like going to social media and defending what's gonna happen at that game because I'm pretty sure I haven't heard one Georgia player announce an opt out
Yeah.
except Brock Bowers. But at this point, it's
My only final words is Cornell was not ducking.
yeah. If you know
Cornell
Mike,
was not
if you
ducking.
know Mike Gray looks out for his guys, we are Cornell faithful,
Cornellians.
Cornellians on the clocks in the stove pond.